Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. One of the things that the old timers would always do in the fall is make horseradish. And my mom actually wrote down some notes on how they made horseradish, but I'll be damned if I can find them notes. So I'm going to go a little bit by memory here today and show you guys how to make horseradish the way I remember it. Making horseradish for those folks back then was a kind of a big thing. It was kind of an afternoon project where everybody got together, kind of a mini barn raising, I guess. And they would dig the horseradish out. You would typically dig horseradish out in the fall, and they would grade that up in like dish pans with a little bit of water in it to keep the fumes down. They would do that with box graders. Now, I'm actually going to use a food processor today, my little one here, to make this horseradish for you guys. But this is what the horseradish looks like. It's just a little bit of an ugly root. I actually have a horseradish patch started, but this stuff here was given to me by my good friend Farmer Jay. He was digging some horseradish, and he was kind enough to give me some, so I'm going to use his here to make this horseradish today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the tops off this, and I'm going to peel this. And when I'm done peeling it, I'm going to chunk it up, and we're going to put it in the food processor. As you can see, I'm out here in the shop. This can get really, really pungent, so you don't want to do this in your house because of the smell of it. And once it's pureed up and it's set, it's going to take a little bit of white vinegar and a little bit of salt. I'm actually going to probably put about a tablespoon of white vinegar into this, and I'm going to put about a teaspoon of salt into this when I'm done. Now, the old timers would always put this in baby food jars, and I remember them storing it two different ways. One, they would freeze it, and when they needed it, they would put it in the refrigerator. And the other way is they would just kind of keep it down in the cold room or the cold basement along with their other stuff. But what they would do with, and I don't really remember why, I don't remember ever asking, but I'm just kind of assuming here, they would put a piece of wax paper over the top of it after they would make it, and then they would put the cap on it from the baby food jar. And I believe it was probably to keep the acid from the vinegar from eating away at the lid when they would do that. But that's the way I remember it being stored, in those baby food jars. So they would hoard baby food jars all year long to make a big batch of horseradish in the fall. So anyway, I'm going to get started on that here, and I'm going to stop a couple times, show you a little bit what I'm doing when I go ahead and I make this horseradish. You can see here that peeling it with a just a regular vegetable peeler is pretty simple. Over here, you can kind of see the results of what I've already got peeled. You want to keep the pieces of root in water while you're working. That way it keeps down kind of the pungent odor, so you don't gas yourself out while you're doing this. You can see here I'm just running the vegetable peeler over. You want it all pretty much white. It will brown as it sits. That's another reason why you want to keep it in the water, to keep it from getting brown, because you want your horseradish to be white, maybe just a light cream color. Anyway, I'm going to get the rest of this peeled up here, and then we're going to get these diced up. All right, we got everything cut up now. I'm putting it into the food processor. It's about 3 cups of stuff cut up of the horseradish root. You can kind of see here the about the size that I got these pieces cut up, and we're going to start pureeing this up. I'm going to add my salt now too. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of canning salt, maybe just a little bit extra there. And we're going to get this going now. Alright, I've pureed this a little bit, pushed it down with a spoon. It's a little bit dry. I needed a little bit looser than this to make the horseradish. So I'm actually going to add a couple tablespoons of water here to kind of loosen this up a little bit. We're just going to add a little bit at a time until we get that horseradish consistency similar to what you'd have in a store. You can kind of see here what it looks like. Reach over here, grab my spoon. it was fairly dry, and that's something when you're making stuff like this, you got to be able to, or not to be afraid to go ahead and add what's needed when it's needed. So because it was so dry, I actually added, I'm going to say that's about a half to 3/4 of a cup of water I had to add into this because it was too dry. I wanted it a little bit looser. Let's see if I can get a scoop from the bottom here, and that's kind of what it looks like. I'm going to add about, I'm going to say, a good tablespoon of white vinegar into this now. Pour here. Just like that. And this is actually really pungent. I got my fan from behind the wood stove here going. Get this stuff all out of the way here. Now we're just going to puree the heck out of this. We're just going to puree the heck out of this for another probably 2 to 3 minutes. Show you guys here a little bit what it looks like. That's kind of what it looks like. And I'm going to take it now and I'm going to get this stuff jarred up for you guys. Now I'm filling it into my little jelly jars here. These are little, I believe they're 4-ounce jelly jars. They're the closest thing I have to baby food jars to keep in the tradition of how the old timers went ahead and did this. Yeah, you can see about there what the head space is like, and I got some other jars here already filled up. And then they would just take a piece of wax paper like so, and they would close it up. And that's kind of what it looks like. I'm actually going to freeze some of this, and I'm going to keep a jar or two in the refrigerator. And I'm actually going to get this stuff all cleaned up here, and I'm going to show you one of the things that I use this horseradish for, and also what the old timers use this horseradish for. All right, guys, we're in the house now. I'm starting to make supper, and I'm making Salisbury steak tonight. And one of the things that old timers did with the horseradish is they would put it in gravy, and they would make what they called horseradish gravy, and it didn't matter whether it was beef gravy or it was pork gravy or it was chicken gravy. It was good in all of them. And here's my gravy that I got working here that I'm going to use on my Salisbury steak tonight. You can use a roux, you can use and make your own homemade gravy, or you can use just store-bought gravy mix. Either one will work. My yield was 5 jars like this of horseradish from what I made earlier. Open this up here. You can see once what it looked like after it's set for a little bit. And we're going to put a good spoonful of this in our, maybe a little bit more, in our gravy. And you always want to do this at the very, very end, because you don't want to cook your horseradish flavor out of your gravy. So when your gravy is ready to go, you mix your horseradish into it. And you can see the little white specks in there. We're going to give this a little taste. And it's got that kind of mild horseradish flavor. Goes really good with anything that you would put gravy on, mashed potatoes, or in my case, Salisbury steak tonight. But anyway, this is Modern Refugee. I appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys get a little information, a little entertainment out of my video. Taking you down a trip down memory lane here with making horseradishes from my recollections of how the old timers did it. But you guys take care.